morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Fumble Live. Happy Monday. We have a lot to get into today. I don't think that this Monday is very happy for Dame Lillard because he was on the receiving end of a bunch of criticism over the weekend. We're also talking about Kawhi Leonard, who seems pretty unhappy with the Clippers. We'll give you all the details in just a second. Before we dive in, make sure you subscribe to our channel, tap the bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up, and leave a comment below. Here's the Fumble Squad. I'm Devin Howard. You can find me on Instagram as @DevinHoward.
Good morning and happy Monday, everybody. I'm Jackie Ray. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter @JRayTheFanatic. Glad to be back. I think I missed the mark a little bit. Devin and I were talking. If you guys watched Challenge Accepted, I had a bet with my brother, the worst possible bet that he could make, but nonetheless. I had a bet with my brother that I had to wear fuzzy braids. I know y'all can see on the side, like right here, my braids are fuzzy. This is as fuzzy as this can get. I don't know how Kawhi gets that fuzzy, and Leo posted the fuzziest Kawhi braid picture ever. I can't do that. How you have to wear your braids for like a month and brush them. Who does that?
I know, Jackie. When Jackie came on the show and said, like, oh, my braids are so fuzzy today, I was looking at the screen and really trying to analyze, like, fuzzy? There is one spot that is fuzzy.
No, it's the whole thing. I got it in a ponytail so you can't see all the fuzz on my braids. Kawhi, I don't have as much money as Kawhi. Trying to do this fuzzy braid thing now makes me really confused. How do your braids get like that, sir? How?
Honestly, I'm not surprised that Kawhi has fuzzy braids. I don't imagine he's the guy going out and, getting fresh braids as often as he maybe should or whatever. He's just too low-key about literally everything. I know we have something funny coming up in the post-up about Kawhi just being as low-key as he always is. I loved that moment. But I don't want to tease it too much. We're going to be getting into that in the post-up, but I did love that. Jackie, we missed you on Friday, but we were so grateful to have Kevin Pryor come on and fill in for you. Kevin and I had a great time talking about everything that went down, but we did miss you, so I'm glad to have you back. How was your weekend? You were in Denver, weren't you?
Yes, I was in Denver. It was crazy. Just quick fun fact, I missed my first plane. That's a whole nother story for another day. No problem, though. Scheduled the plane right after. Canceled. No problem. Went to Frontier, because I hate flying Frontier, but they were the only one that had a late flight. Went to Frontier. I'm at the airport like 2.5 hours early just to make sure I don't miss it. Sitting there, I get up to go to the bathroom. I get a ding from my phone. That flight has been canceled. So then I have to drive all the way to Long Beach to catch a flight at 12:30 in the morning. So I'm like, it can't possibly get any worse. Had all this business. I had a good time in Denver. Flying back, heading to the airport. My plane's supposed to leave at 3 o'clock. Notification from Southwest. Your flight has been canceled. You can't leave until midnight. I was like, bro.
Oh my God. You know what's interesting?
If I seem a little groggy, I'm like, I'm so tired.
I don't blame you. I would be so exhausted if I were you. I got a good night's sleep last night and I'm still over here like trying to figure out what I'm even saying. I can't even think straight because I'm still so tired from the weekend. So I applaud you for being here and looking as bright-eyed and bushy-tailed as you are. But my friend, she lives in Idaho, and I saw her last weekend when I was in Texas, and she came out to LA this weekend, and she has had a ton of different flight cancellations and changes and delays. It's weird. There's a lot going on right now with flights just not showing up on time or just getting canceled altogether. I don't really understand it. So I'm sorry that you had to deal with that. That sucks. Okay, let's get into the news. All right. I want to break down this Dame stuff, and I'm really curious to hear your take on it, Jackie, because Dame could be considering leaving the Trailblazers, but it's not for the reason that I thought it would be. So he was on the receiving end of heavy criticism after he endorsed coaching candidate Chauncey Billups, who was eventually selected for the job. And the reason he got so much backlash for publicly showing his support for Chauncey is because both men have had, Jason Kidd and Chauncey, who were both potential hires, had assault cases made against them in the past. Chauncey was accused of rape along with his former teammate Ron Mercer back in his rookie season with the Celtics. He ended up settling that case. And once he had emerged as a front runner for the Trailblazers head coaching job, there was a lot of reaction on Twitter. Let's get into the first tweet, Leo. They were saying things like, "This sucks. There's like 1 million qualified assistants out there, and within a 48-hour period, a rapist and a domestic abuser both got head coaching jobs." Let's get into the next one. So today, NBA franchises hired a domestic abuser, Mavericks, and a rapist, Trailblazers. I hate it here. Another tweet that says, "So you're telling me the Blazers advanced Becky in the interview process only to instead hire someone with past allegations of sexual abuse and leaked the news on a Friday during a playoff game?" And then another tweet that says, this person is putting the blame squarely on Dame's shoulders. They say, "This is on Dame, in my opinion. They were always going to hire exactly who he wanted, and he wanted Billups or Kidd. They put out names like Becky Hammon and Mike D'Antoni to cool off some of the backlash and hired the guy who they were always going to hire." And now Dame saw this tweet and was aggravated by it. He didn't feel like he deserved to have the blame be put totally on him, so he responded to it and said, "Really? I was asked what coaches I like of the names I heard, and I named them. Sorry I wasn't aware of their history. I didn't read the news when I was 7 or 8 years old. I don't support those things, but if this is the route y'all want to come at me, say less." I feel like this is another tweet that we're going to talk about in a second. But over the years, I feel like Dame has had many reasons to leave the Trailblazers. They haven't been able to advance this far in the postseason as I know he would like that. They haven't been able to provide him with the right, talent surrounding him so that they can be a title contending team. But this backlash is apparently really kind of hitting Dame pretty hard. He's not this criticism that he's receiving from the Trailblazers fan base is just seeming to be the straw that's breaking the camel's back. According to Yahoo Sports, all of this backlash from the team's fan base about the coaching search, combined with the Trailblazers' inability to advance very far in the playoffs and become a title contending team, is enough to make Dame consider other options. The article about all of this says, quote, "Lillard has remained loyal to Portland in large part due to the tremendous fan base, but over the last few days, he's seen some of those same fans attacking him on social media for a pending coaching hire he played no part in consummating." And then, Leo, if you can throw up that last tweet, this here seems to kind of double down on this sentiment, because Dame tweeted, "Sometimes it's not the people who change, it's the mask that falls off." And to me, this either implies that he's seeing a new face for the Trailblazers fandom and people are taking their masks off and he's not appreciating the criticism that they're giving him, or this could be implying his own change of heart. Maybe he's realizing that he doesn't need to stay as loyal to the Trailblazers. Regardless, there was a lot going on, and it's caused Dame to potentially reconsider staying in Portland. Do you feel, Jackie, that it's fair to blame Dame for this coaching hire? Since he is the star of the team, is it appropriate to assume that he did play a role in who ended up getting the job?
I mean, I think it's definitely fair to assume that he played a part in the coaching, who got hired for the coaching role. And I think it's a good hire. Let me just go on record and say that right now. I think let me take that back. I think it's a fantastic hire. I have said for quite some time that Chauncey Billups needs to be a head coach somewhere. That being said, Chauncey Billups is from college. He played at George Washington High School, you guys. So that he comes from my hometown. Chauncey Billups is a local hero for us. And none of us bought the allegations then. If you guys want to Google it, go ahead and Google it. It from day one seemed like a money grab. So, nobody, unfortunately, this happens to more than one athlete that put themselves in situation with women who know who they are and want to get a come up. She got her come up. She got her money. I saw somebody in the chat say that was over 20 years ago. Exactly. I'm really not trying to hold somebody accountable for something I got to Google just to, you know what I mean? Like it's not fresh in your mind. It's not a thing. So I'm not, I kind of feel I don't want to. This is just what people do when they really on the surface. Because let's just be honest for 2 seconds. We forgive a multitude of sins when there's not any melanin involved. You know what I mean? We have seen countless people. I came on this very show and talked trash about Andy Reid's kid damn near destroying a 5-year-old girl's life. And it was like, oh, it was an accident. It was a mistake. You know, he can get help. Here we go with Chauncey Billups on something that happened 20 years later. And it's like, oh my God, he's a rapist. No, he's not. First of all, Google is your friend. Read up on it. Just the details of that situation can let you know how fake that was. That's number one. Number two, you trying to tell me that 20 years later, this man doesn't deserve some sort of grace, the same grace that you give to some guy that destroyed a 5-year-old life? Like, stop it. This is stupid. This is a stupid conversation. And I think what Dame is saying is he does not like his fan base right now. And I think that if he leaves right now, this has nothing to do with Chauncey Billups. This has everything to do with him believing in a city who turned around and not only doesn't believe in the pick that he made, but you're giving scrutiny to a guy for something that probably half of y'all wasn't even alive when it happened. And you don't know enough about it to say anything about it. And I think he's frustrated, and that might have been the straw that broke the camel's back, because he said time and time again that there's no place like Portland, and there's no fans like that fan base. And here y'all come acting a complete fool. Y'all was the saving grace for Dame, literally. And here's a guy who deserves the job. Let's be clear about that. Chauncey deserves the job. Here's a guy who gets the job, and now you have an opinion about it. Not only do you have an opinion about it, you throwing it on Dame's shoulders? Nah. Y'all might have blown this for yourself.
It is kind of an interesting situation here, because I think that even though Dame likely did play a role and his opinion mattered in this situation, I think ultimately the decision to make any hire is going to fall in the front office. It's not Dame being the one writing up the job offer and handing it over. So it's the front office that I think really was responsible for this decision. Not that there is a responsibility necessarily involved, but obviously the Trailblazers fan base is looking at Dame and saying, you did this. And right. I think that that's a really kind of weird and interesting take to have, because yes, his opinion probably held a lot of weight, but ultimately he wasn't the one who made the hire. So I don't know why people are pointing their fingers at him. But I do also find it a little bizarre that after being given many different reasons to leave the Trailblazers, it's this that might be the thing that causes Dame to seek out other options. Do you think that this is his final straw?
I mean, I think it could be. I mean, we've all been there. We've all been in a situation where, you know, we want it to work for whatever reason, but maybe it's not quite working out the way that we want it to. And then we're just kind of hanging on to little threads here and there. And then there's that one thing that you're like, I can't do this anymore. I don't even want to make these excuses anymore. This could be that one thing. I do believe in my heart that Dame is happy in Portland. I do believe that he loves the life that he's built for himself and his family in Portland. I do believe him when he says that he loves that fan base. But to go through what he's going through, the disappointments after disappointments, the criticism that he got for the Jason Kidd thing, although the Jason Kidd thing was a little bit more relevant, and the criticism there wasn't even as intense as the Chauncey Billups thing, which was 20 years ago. So I don't really understand what is happening here, but it could be one of those things where, you know, you might say to yourself, I'm holding on to this because of how I believe these fans love on me, and because how much I want to give these fans their championship, how much I want to be the guy that gives that to them. And then this is how they treat me. This literally could be the straw that breaks the camel's back. And, you know, I'm not going to say that there wasn't a bunch of straws on that camel's back already, but this could be that one that just puts it over the edge, you know?
Yeah. And if you had told me a couple weeks ago that something like this, a reaction from the fan base, was going to be the straw that broke the camel's back, I wouldn't have believed you, because Dame has been so loyal, faithful, committed. I mean, he has just put everything into the Trailblazers, regardless of how far they're going to go, regardless of whether they can be title contenders. He has been committed, and I don't know. I find it surprising, but I also am so supportive of Dame finding another option, because we want to see him out of Portland. It's been great. I love that he's loyal to the franchise, but we want to see him somewhere else, right? Like, it's time. Yeah, it is time.
It's past time. And I think, again, it's one of those, maybe that masks fall off thing. I kind of read it differently, because I think Dame for a long time as putting that mask of confidence. I don't want to say confidence. He's definitely confident, but I think that confidence that he's placed in that franchise and placed in that fan base. And then all of a sudden you start to hear fans say this, and now you're like, hold up, am I really rocking with y'all and this one thing, and y'all don't wait a minute? So, you know, I can literally see it being that thing. I saw Kevin Lang in the chat say he might come to the Knicks. While 2 years ago, I would have laughed in your face for saying that. We are in a different time right now. We're in a different time. Magic just said that. He says, now I can see guys saying, look at what they did without a superstar. What can they do with me? So when you're thinking about Dame and the reason why he wanted to stay in Portland, and he wanted to be the guy that brought that city that ring. He wanted to be the difference maker there. You can go to New York now and be the difference maker there. If your thing is, I want to be the difference maker, why not go to New York and be the difference maker there when that squad has already proven that they're only missing just the same thing I said with the Suns. They've always had talent, but they were missing that one piece. Chris Paul is that one piece. The Knicks have talent. They're just missing a piece. Why not go be that piece? I can totally see him going to the Knicks. I see y'all in the chat. I prefer the Lakers as well. But I'm saying when you consider the mentality, because if he comes to the Lakers, he's not the deciding factor. Lakers have rings after rings after rings after rings, including one that's just a year old. You know what I mean? So it'll be great. It'll be like, yes, we did it with Dame, but you go to New York and now you can say we did it because of Dame. It's a little different. And I think that the because of is better than the with him personally, but we'll see.
It would be a big jump for him to make to go from Portland to New York, especially if he has really started to embrace the Portland lifestyle. Yes, Portland is a city, but it's nowhere near as high energy or bustling as New York, and He is a family guy, so if he were to bring his family all the way out there, that will definitely be a bit of culture shock for them and probably a big adjustment. So I wonder if that would end up influencing his decision to not go to New York, just because it is so different from the life that he's been living in Portland. I don't know. This is a very interesting time for Dame, and if this is what gets him to leave the Trailblazers, I'm for it. I'm 100% for it. I want to see him out of there. Let's move on. Let's talk about another athlete who is probably already making moves to make his exit from the Clippers. So the Clippers.
Like we told you. I'm sorry. I know this is a new headline for y'all, but me and Devin been telling y'all this day was coming. But go ahead, Devin.
Yep, we've been saying this for a long time. So I like that this is kind of proving what we've been saying for a while. So the Clippers picked up their first win of the Western Conference Finals in Game 3, and once again, Kawhi was not playing with the team. He was out because of that injury. And then Skip Bayless says that Kawhi actually has a big issue with the way the Clippers have handled his knee injury. So he said, quote, I've been told by a very good source that the first issue became Kawhi was unhappy with the Clippers medical staff because he felt they early on misdiagnosed and underplayed the extent of his knee injury. San Antonio all over again. Kawhi Leonard is his own man. We know this. Once he gets a little sideways with medical staff, he's going to pull away. He's going to go to this doctor and that physical therapist away from the team. Why is it that the team keeps saying, we're not sure from game to game? They won't rule him out. I think they're just not communicating at all with him, so they're not sure what's going on with him. Skip also said that his own personal sources have revealed that Kawhi is definitely out for the remainder of the playoffs. He is not going to be suiting up at all, and he will reportedly need knee surgery. So people are believing that the injury that he has is actually a torn ACL, which is obviously very serious. Now, Jackie, on Friday, Kevin and I talked about how Kawhi was sitting in a suite with his family instead of down on the bench while his team was playing, and a lot of people felt that was a really bad look. Of course, it's nice to see Kawhi sitting there with his kid and seeing him as a family man, but in these kinds of situations, especially at this point in the game, it's the Western Conference Finals, you kind of want to see the injured superstar sitting in the trenches with the team on the bench, cheering them on, giving them support, giving them advice. The story was also that Kawhi did go into the locker room to talk to his teammates during halftime, but I don't know. To me, it seemed a little bit weird that he was willing to be sitting up in a box suite instead of actually down there on the court with his teammates. And now it's maybe kind of making a little bit of sense. If Kawhi is unhappy with the medical staff, unhappy with the team, he's just kind of creating this physical distance between himself and the team because he's ready to make his exit. Do you feel that could be why he's choosing to not sit there on the bench with them?
No, I mean, I agree with the whole narrative that Kawhi is leaving, but definitely not because he decided to sit in a box suite. Because that man, I don't know if you knew here, But I have said over and over and over again that Kawhi is not a vocal leader. He's terrible at that. He's not the guy that's going to rally the troops. He's not the guy that even is going to be like a Dwayne Wade in retirement and coaching you up from the sideline. That's not what he does. So since that's not what he does, why do I need you on my sideline? Why do I need you? Because you're going to get the attention because you are the star. And now, but what would happen 100% is you'd see him sitting on the sideline, not talking to anyone, which is who he is. And now that's a narrative. Why is Kawhi even on the sideline if he's not talking to people? He's not vocal. So if you're not vocal, I don't need you on my sideline. I need a Chris Paul on my sideline if he's out. I need a LeBron or an AD on my sideline if they're out, because these are guys that rally the troop, that keeps you grounded, and they're going to point stuff out to you. They're going to still be involved in the game even if they're not on the court. Kawhi's not that guy. He's never been that guy. So what's the use? Let that man sit up in the box with his family if that's what he chooses to, so he don't be a distraction to me on the floor. No, that was actually I think that was the smart move. But I've seen y'all in the chat. Mike Glock on one hand said we're clowns for thinking he's leaving, but on the other hand, he said this is San Antonio all over again. It can't be both, sir. It's got to be one or the other. But that's exactly what this is. This is San Antonio all over again. And you guys get mad at me when I say that, but San Antonio was not an injury exit. This was Kawhi playing this the way that he wanted to play it. This was Kawhi saying, okay, I know your doctors say this. I'm not satisfied with that, so I'm going to go get doctors to say this. It's deja vu. And when things look like they used to be, they probably are still that way. Kawhi's not going to be the guy that's going to say, you know what, I'm not happy here for whatever reason. He's going to create a narrative that has already worked once. It's already worked once. Why wouldn't he do it again? That doesn't make sense to me. I said off top that I thought he had an ACL injury when he went out. First thing I said was he has an ACL injury. He will not be back. So now that goes back to why are the Clippers downplaying it? As a fan of basketball, I would downplay it as well. I would always want the looming threat of Kawhi coming back, lingering over whatever team. I would want that out there, even if I knew for a fact it wasn't true. It does Kawhi, but you have to communicate that to Kawhi. Like, yeah, we know you ain't coming back. We just ain't telling nobody. Now, did they communicate that with him, or are they really trying to say, hey, let's just see. Let's see if you can come back. I don't know. We'll just have to see. But I definitely think that they know that this injury is a lot bigger deal than what they're saying. I definitely think they know that. And I think Kawhi knows they know that. But since they're putting this narrative out there, he's been like, oh, see, they going to try to have me come back out here and make my injury worse. They don't care about me. Let me get my own doctors. So then maybe we forget that that's what you did in San Antonio. But we're not going to forget that, Kawhi. We know what you did in San Antonio.
In the chat, I've just been reading a lot of the messages that we're getting, and there's a lot of people who disagree with both of us and who are very, very firm in their beliefs that Kawhi is staying with the Clippers, which I find extremely surprising. Kawhi
it doesn't even make sense. And I saw somebody in the chat said, oh, you're saying what the injury he had in San Antonio wasn't a real injury. That's not what I said. We all know that man got injured, but we also know that he was cleared by not one, but two medical staffers to come back. And then he didn't like that, and he went and got his own doctors. And when he got his own doctors, then it was this whole back and forth, and we didn't know. And he played it until he couldn't play it anymore. There was a point somewhere in there that he could have come back. But he used his medical staff, mind you, as a reason not to. This is deja vu. Obviously, it was a real injury that got him to that point. But how he handled it after that was by design, period. There's no other way to look at that. That was all by design. Now, here we are again. I said off top that I thought it was an ACL injury, like I said. But now what we don't know is who's being clear and who's not, because the optics look like Kawhi is playing this the same way. That's just what it looks like.
And even when we take the injury out of it, when we just look at Kawhi and his relationship with the team, yes, Kawhi's never going to be the guy that's like hyping everybody up and like really being that leader. We've reiterated this point 1,000 times on our show. But I also don't feel like he has this sense of like loyalty or just like this really strong belief in the Clippers as a whole. It's not like they're this dominant amazing team that gels super well together. So to me, it just doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of reason for him to stay. Now he's, injured and potentially using this injury to finagle a way out, but also he doesn't really, I don't feel like he has this commitment to the Clippers. I just don't feel that when I watch him with his teammates and when I watch them play. I just don't think that's there. So it just seems like Kawhi has every reason, and the door is wide open for him. I think maybe he opened it himself, but it's wide open and he's ready to go. So to me, it's surprising that there's
I think sometimes people get it wrong with Kawhi. And I've said this before, and people do not agree with me. I don't expect y'all to agree with me either. But I've always said that I think teams get it wrong because teams look at Kawhi and they say, oh, Kawhi is the guy we need. But they never think about, oh, who does Kawhi need to be the best player that he can be? And Kawhi, because he's not vocal, because he's just downright odd sometimes, you need to be able to counteract that. You need somebody that's going to be the vocal leader in the locker room, on the sideline. You need that guy that's even going to get into Kawhi's head sometimes and say, you know, you need a Batman and Robin. He's not a Batman that can exist by himself. He needs a Robin. And I think sometimes these teams have done him a disservice by not giving him what he needs. You know what I mean? So I think that that's something that teams need to really start considering. Yes, Kawhi is an amazing player, but he's an amazing player who needs a wingman. And if you don't get him one, that's on you, period. And Pat Bev is nobody's wingman. Let me just be clear. That man is nobody's wingman.
One final point I just want to say before we move on to the post-up. I think that people see Kawhi and see what he did with the Raptors, and they want to put him in this box of being this all-encompassing superstar, much in the way that LeBron was, or is, sorry, not was, is. And so they expect him to be able to fit every aspect of what it means to be an NBA superstar, when in reality, that's just not, we have to recognize him for his strengths and his weaknesses. And no, Jeremiah, we are not hating on Kawhi. We don't love to hate on Kawhi. We just recognize him for who he is. We see what he does on the court. We appreciate
loves the word hate. He just loves the word hate.
Always. We hate Steph Curry. Yeah. Like, it's not about hating Kawhi. You just have to be able to recognize these NBA players for their strengths and their weaknesses. They all have them. And it's not bad or wrong to point out where somebody can improve or where they might need the support of another player to come in and make up for the gaps in what they aren't able to bring to the table. It's not a big deal. Anyway, let's move on. I want to get into the post-up. We have some great stuff to get to. So, Jackie, take it away.
Yes, it's time for the post-up. I missed you guys on Monday or Friday. Now it's Monday. But so listen, I was in Denver. I was doing a lot of stuff, so I had to listen to the game more so than watch it. Occasionally, I could watch, a little replay or something, but I didn't really get to see it. So I was listening to it. So when I heard Mike Breen say this, I was like, oh my God, Kawhi finally had this moment in time where he's actually all hype, and I missed it. And I was so mad until I went back and actually saw the clip. And then I was like, damn it, Mike, you had me all excited for nothing. But take a look at this, because this is hilarious.
And this building has come alive. The lead is cut to 6. Kawhi Leonard going crazy.
I was like, oh my God, Kawhi's going crazy? And I missed it? I beelined it for a computer. It took a while. It took about 8 hours for this clip to come out. And then I was like, Mike, you got jokes. This was funny, though. But you got me. You got me good. And I love it.
That would be me. I feel like I would say something like that if I were doing NBA commentary during a game. Kawhi going crazy. And he's just like...
Right. But just imagine me having that on in the background, right? And I'm doing all of my thing. And then I hear Mike Breen, oh, Kawhi's going crazy. And I'm like, I almost dropped what I was carrying to like beeline it over to a television. And of course, it was that commercial by then. And I'm like, God dang it. What? I missed it. And then I had to go back to work. So I forgot about it. And then when I saw the clip, I was like, you literally almost had me spill a whole tray of food trying to get to the TV to see Kawhi acting crazy. And this, okay, Mike. I see you. So
funny.
You almost got me, Mike. You almost got me. And I love it. This is great. He played it so smooth and I love you for it. But let's get to this next one, because you guys, this next one is a first for me. I think there might have been one other time, but I 100% agree with Danny Green and what he is saying in this one. And I think he's 100% right. I know people feel some type of way about him saying this about his teammate, but he's right. So he has a podcast, if you don't know, it's called Inside the Green Room, and they just had their season finale. And on that, he told Harrison Sanford what he thinks is the issue with Ben Simmons. He said a lot of stuff going into this clip. He said that Ben Simmons was going through a lot with his family, and he had a lot of emotional things that he was dealing with on and off the court that he didn't really share with his teammates. He kind of just internalized it. So that just leads me back to there's a mental block in there somewhere. But he says those mental things might have impacted him negatively on the court. So take a listen.
You could tell Ben's the type of kid, if he's not encouraged, if he's not pushed or forced to do it, he's not the type to take that risk. Obviously, he's a high IQ guy. People think he's low IQ, but you could tell he gets a lot of assists and pushes the pace, and he's, gets paid to do what he does because he's so good at it. Mind you, he doesn't step outside that box because he doesn't, he knows well enough, like, I'm good at this. I don't need to step out. Mind you, it's not like I'm encouraged to do this, so I'm kind of afraid to do this kind of thing. So I think they need, encouragement and some type of push to do that, to not be scared to fail at trying something new. He's just one of those guys. I know what I'm good at, and I don't need to do anything else. So, and when the things that he's doing that he's good at isn't working as well, even though he played defense as well as he could for us and gave us dynamic of assisting the ball and finding guys and pushing the pace, we did need him to attack the rim and be more aggressive. But he felt like he was not getting his touch right, and also at the free throw line, it kind of crept up on him mentally to where he wasn't able to get the rhythm he wanted. And once you kind of see a couple go out, it starts, getting at you even more. So it started going downhill. But
so basically, and there's a lot to unpack with that, right? So he's saying that, number one, Ben Simmons is going to stick to what he's good at because he knows what he's good at, and that's all he's going to do. But even Danny Green admitted what he's good at, he has started to decline in. Okay, so if that's the case, then what's your next move? So Danny Green is saying that he's not going to make a next move because he's not encouraged to do so. That is a problematic statement to me. I do believe it's true, and it kind of co-signs on what Stephen A. said. But when you see your own game is declining, why do you need all these people around you to say, hey, maybe you should try this? Why don't? Because I know there's no way his agent isn't like, hey, let's do some stuff. Let's try. And let's not forget, Ben Simmons has had practice scheduled with some high profile players that he's not shown up to. So this is not people aren't trying to help Ben Simmons problem. This is still a Ben Simmons problem. And I think Twitter feels the same way, So this user says, to me, that's a nicer way of saying he's lazy. He's not self-motivated to get better, doesn't want to put the work in unless it's forced. That's what I took out of it. But the person on the bottom saying the perennial defensive player of the year candidate who's giving 110% every night. At least in glorious aspect of the game is lazy just doesn't make sense in any sense, bro. No one has ever called a first team all defensive level talent lazy in the history of the league. Y'all just want that to be the case. I don't know what else to call it if you don't call it lazy. If saying that he's not going to do something unless somebody's saying, yo, you have to do that, what else do you call it? I don't know. So let's go to this next one. This one says, so where that encouragement you were supposed to give him, like you said at the beginning of the season? That's a good question. But I think what Danny Green is saying is, I came in saying I was going to encourage Ben Simmons. I tried to encourage Ben Simmons. He was inside of his head. So I stopped is kind of what I got out of it. And this guy on the bottom says, that's a problem. If he needs to be encouraged to become a better basketball player, then he doesn't deserve to wear the colors. Okay, I mean, that's also a good point as well. And then this last person just says it's too polite. Green was being too polite. In other words, Ben lacks initiative, mental fortitude, and he's not going to handle the issue unless he's forced to. Trade Simmons. So, Devin, let's just have a conversation about this because I think what Danny Green was saying is 100% true. And I think he was saying, hey, he wasn't who we needed him to be, and he's not going to be who we need him to be unless he's forced to do that. Do you want that guy on your squad?
No, absolutely not. You need the guy who's going to take the initiative and be willing to try something new, challenge himself, push a little harder. And Ben has kind of fallen into where he's comfortable, and he's psyching himself out of even progressing beyond that box that he's been put in. So I'm actually not mad at Danny Green for saying this at all. I know it's kind of harsh to be speaking on your own teammates like that, but we all saw Ben. We all saw exactly what he was able to do. We all saw how he was afraid to take shots. And it's not anything that his teammates or the fans can deny anymore. It's out there. We can see where he's struggling and where he is pretty much refusing to improve. So I think Danny just pointed out the obvious here, and he did it in a way that was actually pretty polite. I think what that person said, that this is just a polite way of saying he's lazy, I think that that's exactly what he did say. And if Ben wants to preserve his career in the NBA, he needs to do whatever it is that gets him out of this kind of mental block mode. And he needs to be able to be the team player that's willing to push himself and go beyond his limits, because right now he is just limiting himself.
I agree. And Kevin Lang in the chat says, Mohamed Abdul Rauf, I know you guys remember him from the Denver Nuggets. He said he offered Ben shooting lessons. And he says, I played with him as a freshman in high school. Anyone who can overcome Tourette's syndrome can teach you how to shoot. That is such a spot on point. When you have a guy that had a successful NBA career who had Tourette's and he offered to teach you how to shoot and you don't go, whose fault is this at that point? Whose fault? This is all Ben's fault. I don't care if it means he needs to get therapy. Like I said, I don't care if he needs to show up to practice. Whatever he needs to do it on his own. This is no one else's responsibility. This is all Ben Simmons' fault. I'm sorry. Take ownership of it. The soon as you take ownership of it, that's when you'll overcome it. But let's go on to this next one, because this one I really want to have a conversation with you guys about, because in my head, this is not that bad, because we've all seen every NBA player, as soon as they're out of the run, out of the playoffs, they're either tweeting or putting stuff on Instagram about the games that they're watching. So obviously, win or lose, they're still watching the games. Dwight is from Atlanta. Is this a bad thing? So let me show you this post, because people are really upset about this. So it says, Zach Klein says, how many players in the NBA get bounced in the 7th game and then go watch the team that bounced them in the next game? Dwight Howard does. So this is Dwight Howard. Obviously, he's in the ATL to watch the Hawks play. First of all, the hair looks much better down than it does when it's sticking straight up, looking like Wendy's fries. So I approve the hair. But to me, I'm not entirely sure this is a bad thing. This is his hometown. I get what it looks like, but he was probably going to be sitting at home watching it anyway. When you got that Dwight Howard money and you can sit courtside, why not sit courtside? But people were obviously mad. So here we go. I've never seen something like this in my life, ever. You get beat by a team in 7 and you show up at that game and sit courtside. Where did they do that at? I'm just saying. I have to say, I can't say that I've ever seen this either. Yep, nope, never seen this. And then this is what I was thinking. Atlanta native Dwight Howard, current NBA champion, does. You guys want what I just won, an NBA championship ring. It's called flexing. I don't know if you can really flex when you got bounced, but okay. I get what you're trying to say. And then this is the best point of the whole thing. It's better to go watch a game than to go to the team that beat you. Because this guy says Kevin Durant was up 3-1 on the 73-9 Warriors, lost the series, and then went and joined them. And now you tell me what's worse. That's worse. Going to the team that you couldn't beat is worse than actually going to watch a game, I think. But what do y'all think? Let's see. Zen Master says nothing wrong with it. Yusuf says the same thing. I see nothing wrong with it. Dwight from ATL. Okay, good. Because that's how I felt. This is his hometown. Why wouldn't he go to a game? But people were calling him soft and saying this was terrible. Devin, what do you think?
I think people are ridiculous. They just want a reason to be mad. People are mad about everything, and it's so irritating. It makes sense that Dwight would want to watch them if he's from Atlanta, but also, did you guys forget that in the bubble, they all were in the stands watching each other like that? They like watching basketball. They appreciate the game. Like, what is the big deal here? He would have been watching it at home. Who cares if he's able to watch it in person? Go ahead. I don't understand why anybody would be mad about this. I actually think it's kind of cool. It's not like he, has a chip on his shoulder or whatever. He's just watching the game. He's just enjoying it.
Yeah, I mean, granted, we're talking about high school and college with me, but I used to go to, when we would lose, if I was in the air, I would always go, because you love to watch the game. And when you love to watch the game, like I said, we know they're watching it at home. I'm only not courtside at every single game because I can't afford it. But if I could be at every single game, I would. No matter who it was, even if it was the Knicks, y'all know I don't really rock with the Knicks. I would go. If I could be courtside, just because I could be courtside, I would go. I just think that this is a weird thing to be mad about. Go ahead, Devin.
What about the Clippers? Would you sit courtside at the Clippers game?
I've been courtside at the Clippers game.
You have?
Twice. I've been courtside to the Clippers game twice. I had a friend who actually had courtside tickets and was like, yo, I know you don't really rock with the Clippers, but it's courtside. I'm like, oh, I'm getting dressed right now. Roll through. It's courtside. I'm going to the game. Are you kidding me?
I love that. Okay, so you're telling the truth. You will go no matter who it is.
A few times. I've never been courtside to a Lakers game because I don't have that. I've been in several box seats, but you don't even have to. You don't have to put the team at the end of the sentence. All you have to say is, Jackie, I got courtside tickets. My pants is already on. Come get me. Come get me. Let's go. I'm ready to go. So, if y'all do want something to get mad about, though, this next one y'all can get mad about, because I saw this and I was like, you guys, y'all can't be out here craving camera attention this much where you're causing other people harm. This is insane. So there's a woman who decided that during the Tour de France, she wanted the cameras to see her with a sign that says, Allez Opie Omi or something like that. But it's French. It's a mix of German and French that translates to come on, grandma, grandpa. And I bet my last dollar her grandma and grandpa wasn't in this. But she stepped onto the track basically for the Tour de France and then caused the German cyclist Tony Martin to hit her. And then, y'all, it goes down. This is ridiculous. Take a look.
Has crashed, pretty much.
Well, there was only a very few riders there that made it through at the front of that bunch without getting caught up in the crash. It happened on the right-hand side of the road. Yes, it looked like Tony Martin caught a sign held by a spectator, and the crash went all the way across the road.
Everyone pretty much in the ditch is Wout van Aert. Julian Alaphilippe didn't hit the deck. He's about one of the only riders. So, yeah.
That's crazy.
Fan at the side of the road, trying to hold a sign out for the camera, got absolutely thumped. Shouldn't have been there in the first place. And I said a few moments ago, well done to the fans who have looked after the ride.
Yeah. Shout out to the fans, though, in this, because a lot of fans went instantly into action and was trying to get a lot of the cyclists up and help them out. But the point of the matter is this woman, why were you there? And how did you not see the people come up? It was ridiculous. I was so embarrassed. This is just embarrassing. The Tour de France is planning on suing her, though. They're going to sue her. They were going to hold her responsible for this race being a mess. I guess the person who won was actually in this whole thing and ends up winning while blood is gushing from their knee or something like that. It was crazy. But I looked it up to see, what they were trying to charge her with. They're looking for her. This tweet says that next. Apparently they're on the run from the cops now. This is a movie like a French version of The Fugitive, but so much better. So true. She's not been seen since. Could you imagine of all the things you have to be on the run from the law for it's holding a sign at the Tour de France? That I don't even know. Okay, lady, whatever you need to do with your life, Devin, go ahead.
I want to say one thing. I feel, okay, first of all, this fan is an idiot. I cannot believe that she would stick this cardboard poster out and, that's obviously like what you should not do that when somebody is biking full speed towards you. But I don't think that they need to sue her because it was their fault for allowing fans to get so close to the road anyway. Like, if you don't want fans interfering with the race, you need to create a barricade and separate them by a few feet. At least that's how I feel. I don't think she deserves to be sued at all.
I agree with that. But I'm sure there's a level of negligence on both sides, though. It's negligent for the Tour de France to let her that close. I mean, there's got to be some stupid law, though. There needs to be a stupid law. Like, you would think you would know if my sign is on the track. Yeah, I don't know. You're right, though. You're right. If they didn't stop fans from getting onto the track, then she could technically sue them.
Yeah.
Technically. Like, you didn't have any sort of barricade. You didn't keep us safe. You didn't do. Yeah, so I get that. That's a good point. Now it's going to be fun to follow this up. I hope she's not watching the fumble while she's on the run and be like, ooh, I'm going to come out of hiding and sue her Tour de France. That's not what we're saying. Just so you know.
Bad idea.
But I could totally see something like that happening. She's like, good idea. Oh, God. I take it back. But let's move on to this next one because I love this. Y'all know I love to say, Ja Morant, you hear me? 12 back, you feel me? I love this because Ja Morant's just that guy. And we've been trying to get attention to the WNBA. I know a lot of times we just kind of want their presence there. We just want them there in the stands showing their support. But I also think something like what he posted to his Instagram is so poignant and it's so beautiful because you see he's just flaunting his WNBA jersey collection on his IG. He's got NECA's jersey, of course, from the Sparks. He's got Skylar's from the Phoenix Mercury, Diana Taurasi with the Mercury, and then, of course, the legend back in her hometown, Candace Parker. I love this. All of them are signed, and I think this is beautiful. You know, he's got a 2-year-old little girl that may or may not go to the WNBA, so I know he's a girl dad. So I just love to see the support of the WNBA. I think it's so dope. And then, of course, fans are appreciating this as well. And I was surprised to see this, you guys. We usually, when we talk about the WNBA, we usually see so much shade from Twitter, but I did not see one shade tweet. This one says, I need these and a Bird jersey, especially the Phoenix Mercury jersey. Go Phoenix Mercury. Trying to get that Taurasi Bird and Sabrina jersey as well. So love this, you guys. I love to see that we are out here supporting the WNBA. Unfortunately, and I don't even know if I want to say unfortunately, the WNBA is not where it can be sustained on its own yet. It does need somebody, big. Like, that's why Kobe was so important to it. So I love Ja Morant doing this. He definitely gets a that a boy from me. This next one is a lot of fun, though, you guys. It's just Tacko Fall can do just about anything. And Overtime decided to ask him, is there anything that Tacko can't do? And he answered this, and I'm just going to say, I'm going to put an asterisk by boxing and dancing. But he could probably still do those as well. But take a look.
Unknown caller.
Sit down. Okay.
Please don't do that.
Okay, boxing. Here we go.
Push it down.
Okay, Todd. Okay.
Okay, Devin, what do you think of that video? I think he did everything pretty good. I'm still going to just do an asterisk by boxing and dancing, though.
I still think about this TikTok that Tacko made at the beginning of quarantine where he was, I don't know if anyone else remembers this, but it crosses my mind at least once a week, where he was dancing in the most bizarre, weird way possible. So I decided over a year ago that Tacko cannot and should not ever dance. So that is one thing that he can't do. The boxing, not that great either. But yeah, I mean, it is cool that he's pretty good at almost everything else.
The boxing he probably could get good at. I don't know if you heard the guy in the background, though. It was so hilarious. I don't know what Tacko did before that clip that we saw. But when he's getting ready to go do something, you hear the trainer in the back goes, don't do that. Don't do that ever again. So I don't know what he did before that. But whatever he did before that was terrible. So clearly, maybe boxing's not it for him. But I thought this was great. I love this one thing when Overtime asked, what can he do? This user has a great response to that. And I was like, okay, I see what you did there. He basically says he can't get more minutes. I think I put that tweet in there. Maybe I didn't. But he basically said, he can't get more minutes. And that's what he needs. He needs more minutes. I agree. Tacko needs more minutes. That's the only thing that he can't seem to get on his own right now. So I want him to get more minutes. But let's go on to this next one, because we remember when, what team was it? I can't even remember. It was a team that put Dame in the jersey. Devin, do you remember what team it was that put Dame in that jersey? And he was like, that's a terrible Photoshop. I don't remember what team it was.
Wait, yeah, now what? I don't remember what team it was either.
I don't either. I don't know why that's important to me at this moment, but I just want
Utah.
When that happened. Utah. Yeah, that's right. The disrespect was to Utah. Yep. But Josh Hart has a similar reaction to this. Now, this is different, though. This is Detroit. And Josh was like, nah. Just that I think that's worse than saying terrible Photoshop. It's just like, nah, not checking for Detroit at all. His response, though, caused this whole back and forth between Josh Hart fans and Detroit Pistons fans, and it's hilarious. And this guy says, first time in your NBA career being wanted and you don't know how to act. And then the guy on the bottom says, I love how Pistons fans acting like they don't want him. Y'all need all the help you can get. Pipe down. So here goes some more battles. This one says, please, bro, we need your 8 points and less than 2 assists per game. Oh, so you throwing shades. Okay, then this other person was like, well, let me just let you know. Well, if your record looks like this, you're going to need all the points, assists, rebounds, and defense you can get. When y'all go to this tweet, they go back and forth like this for a minute. And all Josh said was, nah, that is crazy to me. Y'all just be looking for a reason to just feel some type of way. And I think this is hilarious. This next one, though, I definitely want to hear what Devin thinks about this one, because this one, I'm just going to be honest and say, I could have done without this. I really could have done without this. It was just, I knew it was coming when she leaned over him, I think the second time. And the cameraman's reflexes is terrible. The man literally gives the eyebrow warning, like, oh, it's coming. She leaned over here one more time. Look at it. He was like, if she do it again, this is your cue, cameraman.
It's so funny.
I just didn't need to see that. I just didn't.
I didn't either, but men will be men.
And she just all unfazed by it, like, okay, I thought I felt something graze me. Let me lean back in again. Ugh. Okay. There you go. Gentlemen, that is not how you behave in public when there's a girl. I get it. Maybe they're probably obviously together. That I would hope she would not be leaning on a man like that she wasn't with. But just in the future, don't embarrass your girl like that in public, okay? Please and thank you. All right. That's all I got for the post-up. Let's get into this what we not going to do, because this what we not going to do is, I don't want to say it's troubling to me anymore, because it's just kind of par for the course. This is just what I'm used to. I don't like the thought process that this woman was set up. But for me personally, you guys know that I don't rock with the national anthem because of, number one, who we were when that song was written and that flag was stitched. We were property. I don't rock with it. It wasn't written for me. It's not a song that was even meant for me. So I don't rock with it. I haven't rocked with it in over a decade. So that's just me. Gwen Berry is a U.S. track and field athlete. She just recently qualified for the Olympics by earning the bronze medal in the hammer throw, which I love the hammer throw. It's such a fun event to watch. But she is also a social activist, and she has been doing a lot to use her voice and her platform to talk about social justice and police brutality and things of that nature. But I want you to take a look at this. Take a look at this tweet really quick, because when she won the bronze. Now you go out on the podium. You guys know the whole routine. So CBS 42 says, while the music played, Gwen Berry placed her left hand on her hip and shuffled her feet. She took a quarter turn and she was facing the stand, not the flag. So I watched the video of this on the CBS 42 site as they were talking about it. And they flashed to the stand. No one in the stand seems fazed by this at all. They don't even seem to really notice, to be honest with you. Nobody was talking about it. No one booed. No one had any type of visceral reaction. But of course, once you start posting this to, Instagram, Twitter, and all that, then, all the racist couch patriots, they also all of a sudden have something to say about it. So this person was like, why don't people like her make some public statement about not wanting to represent a country that they are not happy about living in, refuse to play in a sport they may have to play under the symbol of their country's flag? Why do this? It's embarrassing to our country. Is this what's embarrassing? Racism and police? Okay, that's not what racism. Okay. So at least one person had some common sense, and she says, I'm looking at this woman with admiration, not embarrassment for your country. And then Peg was like, actually, this is way more embarrassing to our country. Facts. All this racism and stuff that we still dealing with in 2020, 21, that's embarrassing to me. But when I'm seeing, of course, the couch potato patriots on Twitter, saying what they say, it took me to this statement that she made. And she said, I feel like I was set up. I feel like they did that on purpose and I was pissed. To be honest, I was thinking about what I should do. Eventually, I just stayed there and just swayed. I put my shirt over my head. It was real disrespectful. I know they did that on purpose, but it'll be all right. I'll see. It'll be all right. I see what's up. So what she means by that. So she basically made a statement that's saying that she was told that, you know, the anthem would be played before they went out there. And then once she got out there, then that's when they played it. Now, I looked on CNN's website, and according to CNN, the anthem was played once every night during the trials, which lines up with what she's saying. She's saying that I didn't think that the anthem was going to be played when I went out there. That's one of the reasons why I went out there. And she also went on to say, I really don't want to talk about the anthem because that's not important. The anthem does not speak for me. It never has. And then she posted this on her Instagram, basically saying, she showed a picture of herself not facing the flag and said, I said what I said. I said what I said. I meant what I said. Stop playing with me, period. So one thing's for sure, y'all probably should stop playing with this woman because she don't care nothing about your feelings about how she feels about a flag and a song that she feels doesn't represent her. Because in 2019, she lost some of her sponsorships after raising her first protest at the podium at the Pan American Games in Peru. So she got a 12-month probation for that from the U.S. Olympics. And she decided that was okay. She said, oh, you know what? That money could definitely help me and my community, but I need to raise awareness about the social injustice that happens here in America. So here's the thing now. I don't know what she's going to do going forward. I didn't see a rule that says if you win in the Olympics, you have to go out to the podium and you have to be present during that song to receive your medal. But I did see an open letter that was written earlier this year by the U.S. Olympic CEO, Sarah, here's Bland, and she said, respectful demonstrations on the topic of racial and social justice would be allowed at the Olympic trials. So she's fine for doing this. As mad as y'all want to be, the Olympic trials is fine. But this is no demonstrations are going to be allowed in the actual Olympics because they're going to say, they basically said no protest, nothing like that. So she can't do this in the actual Olympics because there's a rule with that. But I still didn't find a rule that said if she actually has to go, because if y'all can give me my medal later, I don't actually have to be out on the podium to get that. So I'm not entirely sure because I looked for a good 30 minutes. Now, obviously, I probably could look for some more time and I will. And if I find an update on that, I'll let you guys know. But she's not going to be able to protest like this in the actual Olympics. But I still stand by her 100%. And I still stand by her thought process. And I understand that notion that was not meant for me because this country has a long way to go before that anthem means anything. And I would dare to say, and people get mad at me when I say it, but I would dare to say, change the anthem. Because when you consider who wrote the anthem, how he felt about Black people at the time, the fact that we're supposed to like that song is crazy to me. So if you really want to look like we're moving forward, then change the anthem, period. But otherwise, what I'm not going to do is get mad at this woman for doing what she felt was right in her heart, especially when we live in the country that we live in and we still in 2021 have the problems that we have. And for them to make this illegal for her to do going forward, I really hope that her not going out. First of all, I want her to win. Second of all, if there's a way that she could just not be out there, then I want her to do that as well. But Gwen, I just want you to know that I salute you and I appreciate your voice and keep doing what you do. I love it. That's all I got for what we're not going to do. Devin, you have any thoughts? We have a little bit of time. Do you have any thoughts?
You know, this just goes with a sentiment that I have said on this show a couple times. People are going to be triggered by everything. If this is a form of protest, and it is, but it is so unoffensive and so minor. And if she felt she was being set up or, something happened that she wasn't necessarily prepared for or told about beforehand, and this was her reaction, this is fine. I support it. I stand by her as well. We have discussed this so many times, but why is the national anthem and the Star-Spangled Banner even so ingrained in sports anyway? It shouldn't be. Right. It plays no role. We don't do this for movie theater or movie screenings or concerts or whatever. So why do we have to incorporate national anthems into sports? Anyway, it's silly. So I support her. I support any form of activism, especially when it comes to, Black Lives Matter and uplifting any sort of underrepresented or discriminated against community. So I like it. I'm not mad about it at all. I don't think anybody should be mad about it. It's ridiculous. But you guys, we are right at 10 a.m. here, so let's wrap up the show. We're going to be back again tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, so don't forget to tune in, subscribe, tap the bell, leave a comment below, and share this video with your friends. And have a great Monday, you guys. Do something nice for somebody else. Let's get the week started off on a positive note. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Bye.
Bye.